Hey, Leilani with the Magical Solution here. So another story time since you guys liked the first one so much. And this time it's going to be about my two encounters with mermaids and, sea creatures and sirens and all the wonderful things. So the first story actually is a story that I told here on TikTok once before, of when I had drowned. I was around 4 years old, and it was in my pool, the deep end of my pool, when my cousin was watching us. But what I didn't tell you about that story, aside from, the experience of, what I was feeling and, what I went through and all that, what I didn't tell you with that story was that what accompanied the white light, what accompanied the really amazing feeling that I was feeling when I was drowning, was that there was a voice that accompanied that. And that voice made herself known and told me that she would meet me again. And this brought me a lot of comfort. So at the time, the voice that I had heard, I immediately associated it with God. You know what I mean? Because you're in a drowning situation, you're 4 years old, you see a white light, you feel warm, you feel love, and then you hear a female voice that says, I'm here, I'm protecting you, and we'll meet each other again, don't worry. Yeah, that sounds like something God would say, right? Well, and I know a lot of you guys are thinking, okay, Leilani, you were drowning in a pool. What does that have to do with mermaids? Y'all need to stop boxing these spirits in. Y'all really need to stop boxing these spirits in. A mermaid can exist in a glass of water. Let's get that straight. Anywho, so the second time, the one that you guys haven't heard, the second time that I met this spirit, whom I found out, obviously I found out she was a mermaid spirit, that voice, later on in life. I didn't know that then, obviously. Anyway, so the second time I encountered this energy, I was at Jones Beach. I was maybe like 6. And, my parents I love my parents. I love them so much. But they were definitely one of those parents that, let the streets raise you. You know what I'm saying? They were very just, they had 2 jobs. They were always, you know what I'm saying? They just didn't have time. They didn't have time to raise children. What? We have children. That's it. That's all. We have them. We don't raise them. Anyway, I digress. So I'm at Jones Beach. My parents are out lounging in the sand, probably sleeping, because they don't get much of that. And I'm out there in the ocean with my 6-year-old little self, just fearless as all hell out there. And that particular day, I'm not gonna lie, that particular day, the waves were insane. My dad, till this day, my dad will vouch for how insane those waves were. And they were just thrashing people around, right? Now, my little ass, I loved it. I absolutely loved getting tossed around by the waves. But while I was out there, there was an instant where all of a sudden I'm getting tossed by the waves, right? And then all of a sudden I'm realizing, wait a second, these waves just keep coming and the undercurrent just keeps pulling. And I was like, and I haven't gone up in a minute to get some air. I just kept getting pushed back down. I was like, uh-oh. And I'm starting to run out of air, right? So I'm stressing. And boom, once again, the spirit voice that had come to me in my pool to let me know I was safe came to me again in the ocean. But this time, I felt hands. I felt scales. I felt fins. I felt some type of aquatic creature who was underneath me at the time when I was flailing around, who was underneath me and in my butt area and kind of pushing me up, I'm assuming they were probably using their back or their butt, because it was definitely a larger muscle group, and it was definitely like almost like flat, and it didn't feel like hands or anything like that. It felt like a large muscle, and it was pushing me back up to the surface. And what ended up happening was, it was so interesting. So I'm out there, I'm getting tossed around, the water's really pulling me under. I'm feeling this creature, gently kind of push me up. And then when the creature realized that, like, the gentleness just wasn't working, and, like, I was a little too nervous, and I think it was because, obviously, I had drowned already. Like, I already knew what that experience was like. And, yeah, granted, once you're in the point where you have drowned and everything is peaceful, the few seconds prior to that is absolutely terrifying. So, yeah, PTSD, I was freaking out. And so instead, that's when I felt the creature, like, you could just tell her gently pushing me up wasn't working. And so all of a sudden, you can just feel the hands of this creature, like, literally grab me from underneath, like where my rib cages were, and just toss me, like, straight up fucking just like football through me. Like, I landed on the shore. I got slammed onto the shore. And at the time, my father was wise. My father, I noticed now that I tell all these stories, my dad was the one that was there to see a lot of it. Poor man. Anyway, so my mom is chilling on the beach. My dad, I came running up to them, absolutely shooketh, okay? And my dad was like, I saw the whole thing, and I'm like, what happened? Like, I'm tiny. I'm like, what happened? What's going on? Like, did you see the mermaid? And, like, I knew it was a mermaid. You know what I'm saying? And I was obsessed with Ariel at the time too. So, like, what? Anyway, and he looked at me. He goes, "It sure was." And then I'm like, "Tell me what you saw." And so, according to him, or at least according to his account, he said that the waves were really crashing. It was really bad, and that for a couple of seconds, like, he couldn't see me, and he got really scared. So he got up and, like, was, like, looking around to see if he can, see me. And then he says that he sees my little feet, and he sees, like, my little bathing suit just getting tossed around in the waves. And he got even more nervous. He's like, holy shit. So he starts, like, moving towards the water. And then, like, he just comes to a halt. And he says that he saw, like, this grayish, scaly creature thing throw me. That's what he said. He said, I saw it. That's the right word. I saw it come out of the water just a little bit to throw you out of the water. And then it went back in. And I just couldn't believe, I was like, that's what I felt. Like, I definitely felt like something picking up and threw me. Anyway, long story short, and I'm excited to tell this story because I haven't told it in years. I think the last time I said this story, I think I was maybe like 10 or 11. I was in school and I told someone, and I got ridiculed, so obviously I never told someone ever again. But yeah. So I'm really excited to say this story. But the truth is that after that experience, they never left. They arrived when I had drowned in my pool. They were sent to me then to ensure that I didn't drown. And then they introduced themselves to me at the beach, and made it known, like, this is what they do, And ever since then, they have not left me. There is not a single surface of water that I don't look into and see them. There is not a single time that I go swimming that I don't feel them in the water with me, playing around. So these relationships aren't as simple or as complicated as people make them out to be. They are unique to every single person. And these stories, whether you find them in pools or a glass of water or the ocean, these stories with mermaids go deep, deep, deep in history. And if you want to know more, I highly suggest you take my class tonight Registration ends at 6 p.m. Hope to see you there. This is how we grab.